By all accounts, coronavirus is spreading rapidly throughout Texas.
Yeah, all the new cases and hospitalizations have people wondering what's next and what more can we do to help slow the spread.
Governor Greg Abbott joining us live from the state capitol to answer some of your questions tonight. And Governor, the city of Austin is taking a range of different actions related to COVID-19 this week, and is considering additional steps if we reach stage 5. And you wrote a letter to Mayor Adler today saying actions the city is contemplating are an important step towards reducing the spread of the novel coronavirus. And to clarify for our viewers, which specific city of Austin actions or potential actions are you referring to? And why did you feel the compelling need to write a letter about it?
Because, as you all may be aware, I've been saying that local officials do need to step up and enforce these executive orders, knowing that the executive orders that have been issued were intended to slow the spread in the state of Texas without having to close down. And the measures that I saw the city of Austin contemplating were measures that actually would be enforcing these protocol standards. So let's be clear about this. And that is the reason why it's so important for people to do things like wear masks is so that we can continue to engage in business activities, so people can go to their jobs and earn a paycheck and put food on their table. The last thing that we can and should do is to close down. It's my understanding that the mayor has made clear that he understands that any attempt to close businesses back down into a lockdown or stay-at-home standard would be in contradiction of my executive order. And so all that they are contemplating doing, as I understand it, is making sure that they do enforce the existing executive order standards.
And just as a follow-up, Austin Public Health has indicated we could be close to entering stage 5 here. One of the recommendations in stage 5 is that people only go into work at essential businesses. If Austin reaches stage 5, Governor, will you support that recommendation?
If it's something that people want to do, but not as a mandate, I've been clear, and that is that people should still have the freedom to go about their typical job. Let me emphasize this because apparently it needs to be made even more clear. The thing about people wearing face masks, and the reason why I issued the face mask requirement, is that if everyone does wear a face mask, everyone can go into work wherever they may work. It could be a grocery store, it could be an office building, it could be any place. And that's the reason why we do that, because if you do wear a face mask, it will reduce the transmission of COVID-19, and that will bend the curve of this spike that we've seen. I would not have issued the face mask order had I not known medically that people wearing face masks will reduce the spread. Our goal is not to have any type of shutdown policy, any type of stay-at-home policy. Is to make sure that people can engage economically while also slowing the spread.
And we did get some sad news today, Governor. We found out that the state is reporting its highest day for deaths, 98 COVID-related deaths in Texas. We have heard some sources suggest that there might be a plan in place for if we do get to the point when a shutdown might be necessary. Do you anticipate that ever happening? And if so, like, how should Texans prepare for that?
So obviously, this is horrible news today about these deaths. One death is one death too many, but 98 obviously is way too many. But when you look at the number of people who have been hospitalized over just the past couple of weeks, you can see that there may be more fatalities coming. What we need to do is we need to take action now, which is why I wrote that letter to the city of Austin, because action is needed, not just by the city of Austin, but by cities across the entire state of Texas, for everyone to enforce the standards that have already been set out. Because know this, and that is, if we do enforce the standards in place, we will be able to reduce hospitalizations, we will be able to reduce deaths. If people wear masks, it will save lives.
Governor Greg Abbott joining us live from the state capitol. Thanks very much. We appreciate your time.
Thank you all, and be safe.